A railroad diamond is where two railroads cross at grade on maybe two different railroads or definitely two different lines. This is an explain how I explain why railroad diamonds are needed. The first reason is they can get they can travel where a rail line with very little traffic operates a low speed crossing. A rail line with considerable more traffic operation at higher speeds. So lines can cross, like for say Nahunta, which is a small town in southeast Georgia, um, South Georgia. It has a new 1,500-foot connection track that was completed in early 2023 from the Brunswick sub, headed 51 miles to Jessup. So it adds about 30 more miles, but it'll help Waycross. It'll solve some of their issues. It's not going to solve all of their TSR problems, but it should get them somewhere. And then our next thing is they can get all the way from these tiny ones all the way up to these. These things are massive. Railroad crossings like this can also rely on very heavy maintenance work. Some diamonds can take up a lot of maintenance work because some diamonds are used a lot, like probably every 30 minutes, and some of them are used every 3 months. It varies on what the traffic is, how the traffic gets through there, what the train is, and what is it for, what's going down the line, because most diamonds cross dark territory. You can go from CTC on the one line, and then the other line is dark territory, or both, or neither. So it can always change whatever it is. And almost all diamonds are never perfect. They're always, usually you can tell by this, they're always usually diagonal just a little. Sometimes you can't tell, but when you're right at it, almost none. Pretty much, it's very, very rare to find one that crosses perfectly. It's always diagonal. There's an example at Mulberry, Florida, in the Won't Valley. There is a crossing in the middle of a highway with the last Y pattern signals still in operation on the CSX in Florida. Live Oak doesn't count anymore. It's owned by the new Florida, Georgia, and Atlantic Railroad. But diamonds, this just shows how much they can be used. Some of them have different stuff for them, so it reduces pounding on the diamonds. At Baldwin, Florida, the diamond has been removed. There's no tower, and there is no diamond anymore. The Tallahassee and SP line crossed there. It was barely ever even used anyway. Most trains took the connection tracks or didn't even go that way. There's a lot of traffic on the SP line up to Baldwin to turn right toward Callahan, or turn left to Tampa. But it almost never trains would go to Jacksonville and then to Tallahassee or wherever else. Like 606, 605, they now go through Cordele. They no longer take the Tallahassee sub at Baldwin. And then there's other lines that can cross with connection tracks. Like Norfolk Southern CSX cross a lot, or UP and BNSF. I don't have those out where I live. I have CSX and NS, but there's no UP. Closest BNSF to us is Memphis, Tennessee. So that's like still a day away. So there's not much BNSF out here anywhere on the East Coast, and there's no Union Pacific. We get a lot of foreign power though, from other trains, pretty much everywhere does. I'll make a video on what foreign power is. But this is what I had to say about diamonds. Now here's for the second part of this video. Here's the Amtrak trains that I know around. The first Amtrak train is Amtrak Auto Train. You carry your cars and auto racks with you on your trip. This only makes 2 stops. Well, it makes 3, but 2 are only for passengers. Sanford, Florida to Lorton, Virginia is Amtrak 52, and Lorton to Tampa is 53. It stops for a crew change in Florence, South Carolina. This train only travels, it doesn't travel very much. It ends in Sanford and it goes up to Lorton. It doesn't go anywhere else. It doesn't take any other lines. It just takes the A line up to Lorton. Lorton is in Richmond, Virginia. Then here is Amtrak 97, the Silver Meteor, that runs from New York to Miami at its Savannah Station stop. This is the Silver Meteor. There's the Silver Meteor and the Silver Stars. Amtrak 97 and Amtrak 98. 97's the southbound, 98's the northbound. All even numbers are northbound. All odd numbers are southbound. This is 97. Its counterpart is 98, which is the northbound. Here is Amtrak 91, running probably 3 hours late. This is the Southern Pines Amtrak station, about 30 miles north of Hamlet. This only receives about 4 trains a day through this line. 2 locals that go in the middle of the night, and then Amtrak 91 gets here at 10:40 p.m. and then Amtrak 92, the northbound, who takes this route, gets here at about 7:04 a.m. So there's nothing really during the day unless you're lucky and it runs hours late. 97 takes the A line, same with 98 straight up. But 91 and 92 take a left at 92 takes a left at Savannah, headed up at Cary, takes a right onto the NS and takes a left on a connection track in Selma. That's what 91 does, but going the opposite way. So there's other things about that have more differences and more other things. One more thing is the Florida East Coast Railroad. This originated a long time ago. It runs from Jacksonville to Miami, and one thing I've always thought about was they could rename it to the East Coast Railway and make it run all the way up to Maine. But if they want to do that, they could. But I think they'd remain it as the Florida East Coast. But this runs to Miami to Jax. It's the only railroad on the very far east of Florida that continues. There's no other rail from St. Augustine down to Fort Pierce or Cocoa now, because Brightline goes to Orlando. That side doesn't have too much for rail. It's all in the central and western Florida, on the peninsula and on the Panhandle. There's no passenger service on the Panhandle anymore. That's all I have for today. See you guys in the next video. This is just about railroad diamonds and Amtrak trains. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.